I'm doing something a little unconventional and something that I've never worked on before. This is an Emerson 560 radio. It was made in the late 40s, early 50s. I have no idea when this particular one was made because there's literally no labels on it at all, which is, except for this, of course. But that's highly unusual for these old radios. They usually have a tube diagram or something. But this is an all DC radio, meaning there is no power cord. It does not get plugged into wall outlet. It's all battery operated. So when you open up the back here, you can see it's also vacuum tube operated. So there's this gap down in here. And the reason for that gap is to hold the batteries. There's two batteries. One is a 4.5 volt battery and one is a 67.5 volt battery. So this radio operates on a total of 72 volts. One of those, and the reason is because of the vacuum tubes. Today's transistor radios and modern radios run on 12 volts. Sometimes, like with computer stuff, you have 5 volts or 3 volts. It's a very low voltage, but these vacuum tubes require the higher voltages. So one of the batteries is for the elements, the heating elements in the vacuum tubes, and the other is for the filaments in the vacuum tubes. And they connect through these connectors here. That's for the 67.5 volt battery, and this, which looks very much like a 9 volt battery, that's for the 4.5 volt battery. So I went online and I actually found the batteries that would have gone into this radio, and I bought them. And I probably should have started this video before I did this, but what I did is I took the batteries out of the radio, out of the boxes, and I'm going to replace, these are 3, as you can see, G cell batteries, which they don't make anymore. They're pretty big. Compared to a D battery, so it's not quite twice the size of a D battery, but it's up there. But this is the old box for it, and this is the connector, the 2-prong connector, and it'll sit up in here. Obviously, I'll show you this once I have everything put that together, but it'll sit in there, and then this will go sideways in here. And what's really cool about this one, I don't know if it'll show up on video, but it says put in service before February 1941. So I'm sure it served somebody well. This one here, again, I'm sort of doing this backwards. I took the battery apart, and this is an old Everready. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the 4.5 volt battery, not the 67. And you can see that right here, 4.5. This is the 67.5 volt battery. And so I took this case apart and took the old battery out, and it's here. It's just a bunch of these like battery cells lumped together. It's pretty cool. And you see they're in series, so one gets connected to the next. They're not in parallel, they're in series. So if you put something in parallel, you get the same voltage but higher amperage, but if you put something in series, you get higher voltage and the same amperage. So it makes a difference. Anyway, so I managed to get this case apart. It's not in the best condition, but it's in pretty good condition. You can see there's some staining from battery acid and whatnot. I've made a little cardboard insert that I'm going to put in here just to give it some strength. And then I'm going to put 7 of these batteries together. I downloaded some plans from online, and they have a way that you can fit them all into this box here. And then that gets put into the radio and connected to this terminal, which, like I said, it's like a 9 volt battery, but much farther apart. So you got your positive here and your negative here. So these batteries would be oriented like that. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I have not taken this out and replaced the capacitors or anything. I haven't worked on it at all yet. I'll take a video of that when I do to show you what I'm doing. Well, I got my battery box back together. It's reinforced, glued it back together. Caused a few more problems than I probably needed to, but I took some, it sort of tore the paper like around here, down here. So I just took some paint markers and filled in those spots. You can see the difference in color there. I'm not super concerned about that. I got my connectors, so I've got 3D battery size holders. These holders are neat because you can snap them together, but the way they snap together that I need is we're going to stack like this, and that way they'll be will work out to about 4.5 volts because they're 1.5 each. So obviously that's not going to work. If I snap them together, they've got these little tabs on the sides. You can snap them together this way. But then that's in parallel, and I don't have the voltage. I have an increase in amperage, but not voltage, and what I need is the voltage. So what I'm going to do is just cut those little tab things off. I'm going to glue these boxes together like this, and then I'll solder a wire from, let's see what we have here. So from negative to positive to negative to positive, and that will give me the 4.5 volts for that, and it'll fit nicely in that box. Okay, things changed a little bit. As far as my 67.5 volt battery, I was not able to fit the 9 volt batteries into this box. I took the box apart one last time. I'll glue it back together and never take it apart again. But not until I receive that, which is a replacement for this battery. It's the Everready 467. It even has the cut off like edges there to make it not rectangle, whatever, and it looks like the terminals are the same distance apart as this here. So I'm just going to do that. It's not cheap, but I just don't really have any other way of doing it. I got my 3 D cell batteries put together and soldered to the connector, and I'm getting 4.874 volts DC out of them. That's good. Should be, you know, it's within tolerance. It should be around 4.5, so good there. I'm going to put that in the box, and when I get that other battery, I'll glue that other box back together and put it in, and then can start testing the radio. Well, I received my 67.5 volt battery today, and it came in wrapped in this package here. So I tried fitting it into this package, and it wouldn't fit. So I cut this off to see what's going on here inside, and it looks like it's just a bunch of almost like watch batteries that are stacked up. So I'm going to take this apart, and I'm going to mount it in there. So that's what it looks like on the inside, and I was right, it's just a bunch of stacked up batteries, and my leads just popped off, but it was reading 70 volts, so it's good. I'm going to put it inside this package and see what happens. I have the new battery inserted into the old case, and I'm going to fill this up with styrofoam or something like they did on this package, just to take up that space. And then as far as keeping these flaps closed, on the other one I just left it unglued, and I think that's what I will do here as well, or I will just put down like 1 drop of glue, just so if the battery ever dies and needs to be replaced, we can just unglue it and by one spot, and that it shouldn't destroy the package too much. I did take a photocopy of this, not a photocopy, a scan of this package, so if it does ever get completely destroyed, I can recreate it. Now for the moment of truth. I've not repaired anything on this radio except I replaced that bulb right there, and I tested the others. This one was physically broken, the glass was broken. So I've got my 2 batteries in here. This is the 4.5 volt, and this is the 67.5 volt, and I have my 2 antennas, antenna leads connected. So I'm going to close this, and then actually I'm going to leave that open because I want to see if the it's coil. It's dusty. I did clean up the box with some Brasso and car polish, so got all that sort of like white paint stuff off. So here we go, turning it on. With full volume. Oh, I'm already hearing something. I don't really see the things glowing. We are getting sound.
That's why they're beating Ohio State.
Wow.
The Niners.
Wow. All right, very good. So now what I will do is go ahead and replace the capacitors in there. The old paper capacitors break, they break down, and it's not safe to keep them in there. So I've got to change those with the capacitors that will last a longer time. And that's another video. these are the capacitors. These are the guys that are going to get replaced. These blue ones here. Got a couple like brownish looking ones there and here and here. So those are all going to get replaced, and then hopefully it will come back to life better than ever. Alright, now that that's all put back together, just take this out of here while I'm doing this. This is just easier to connect it and disconnect it rather than having to do it in that box. I don't want to destroy the box. This one's easy. Alright, well, don't have the antenna hooked up, but let's see if we get sound at least. Okay. I'm hearing sound. Not very loud. Let's see if we can hook up the antennas. I think that's going to be a solid no. But we get our trusty alligator clips. And maybe we'll have some luck. Something. Just don't know what. So now comes the fun part. Troubleshooting. So we're going to take this apart. Come back to it later. This here is the schematic. This is basically the roadmap of the interior of the electronics of the radio. So I will take a look at that and see if I can get this resolved.
It doesn't, it picks up this one station outside, but, to walk down the street with this on your shoulder, just be like going back in the old days in the 80s. It's from the 1940s.